Season 3 begins in the year 2000, with the youthful Jesse Gemstone, leading his own monster truck ministry. When Amy Lee sneaks off to have a smoke, Eli's sister Maymay confronts her with a giant wrench because Eli got her husband Peter Montgomery into a Y2K survival kit merchandising scheme that went bust after the Y2K computer scare never brought on the end times, leaving the Montgomerys penniless. Amy Lee takes off through the crowded monster truck rally. Maymay catches up to her and nearly bashes her head in with a wrench before a random car hits her out of nowhere. Kelvin and Keith's new youth ministry project is called Smut Busters, where they drive around in a church van, buying out all the merchandise from local sex shops.
It's gonna have nothing else to sell like this.
Until they restock, and then what?
When the Gemstones take over Eli's role as church leader, they bomb hard. Martin informs the Gemstones that one of their largest benefactors, famous race car driver Dusty Daniels, has left their church.
Our ministry was to receive his entire estate, including branding, corporation, even his name.
So what? We got names.
His name is currently estimated to be worth over $200 million. We were also set to inherit Dusty's trademark slogan, Woo-wee Sucker. Merchandising alone, over $30 million.
It's obvious the backlash from Dusty and the rest of the congregation shows that the Gemstone kids need to figure out how to work together. So Eli sends the three of them to make things right with the famous race car driver. Dusty's already found their replacements, three preaching siblings, the Simpkins, who lost their parents in a plane crash when they were kids.
Y'all want me to be a member of your church so bad. Why don't you battle for me? Let's settle it in one of those.
You heard him? He says he's got zero experience.
Well, I said no experience in stock cars. I've dabbled in Formula One.
Jesse crashes and burns right out of the gate.
We helped each other through a very trying time in our lives by dry humping twice and kissing 3 times. Now that's 4. But we can't take this any further or we would cause some real damage.
What the fuck is this?
And that's how that part of the song goes.
As main decider, the motherfucker is fired.
Jesse gets initiated into a secret society called the Cape and Pistol for elite ministers that gives off some serious, eyes wide shut vibes. Maymay's husband Peter got out of prison and corrupted her boys, Chuck and Carl, with his redneck militia full of ex-cons and incels. She's worried about them and doesn't know where else to turn. Steven gets majorly abused by his wife when he tells her he got fired. Steven doesn't seem even close to satisfied with the hush money Judy gives him.
$10,000. And that's mostly in small bills, 20s, because I figured you'd want to buy gas station snacks with it.
I'd leave my family in a second if I could have you. I'd murder them.
I don't want to see you no mo.
Judy.
Eli brings his kids to Peter's compound.
When the end of times come, are we to believe that these phony fakers will be called to the kingdom of heaven? Get the hell out of here!
Peter's compound gets raided, and when Chuck and Carl get to the safe house, he blames it on the Gemstones.
Did you, or did you not, tell the feds where we were?
No, Pa, honest, we didn't.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
There you go, you see that?
Carl goes apeshit at his father's accusations, and him and Chuck run off. The Gemstone kids have a meeting with the pastors, and all hell breaks loose. Eli and Gideon rescue Maymay and her boys from the motel. Eli takes in his wayward nephews at Maymay's insistence.
Please keep that wicked man away from my sons.
Baby Billy hatches a scheme to make his own Christian-themed game show to play on the Gemstones TV network called Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers.
No wonder your fucking numbers are down. You think you could ship me off to paradise? Make me sing by a pool all motherfucking day, drinking pina coladas for free, living in a penthouse? I'm an international known talent. I deserve more than that.
While Keith's having a meeting with the youth ministry's parents, one of the sex shop workers outs him. Jesse and Judy tell Kelvin that Keith can no longer work around the kids. They find a new place for him in immigrant outreach. This crushes Keith, who immediately moves out of Kelvin's house and gets a job building wooden furniture. Peter crashes the Gemstones after a church meal and asks his boys to come to the militia's new farm. He gaslights them when they refuse to go with him. Most of the table is strapped, and they all pull their guns out on Peter when he starts getting loud and aggressive. Steven stalks BJ at the pickleball court and offers to fill in for his partner. Judy meets with Steven to tell him to stop messing with BJ. Steven invites BJ and spills the beans on their affair. All of episode 5 is a flashback, showing what exactly happened with Peter and the Y2K survival kit investment. Eli offered to buy the stock back from Peter, but May refused to take their money, leading Peter to rob a bank, which resulted with a hole in his face, a murder charge, and a lengthy prison sentence. The Gemstones believe they've reformed Chuck and Carl, so Jesse gives them his monster truck, the Redeemer, but instantly regrets it.
We stole right out from under their stuck-up noses. They stole it straight from the devil!
Steven's wife finds out about his affair with Judy and gets her lawyers involved, so the Gemstones have to pay them off or Steven's wife will go public with the scandal. Judy goes to Amber's women's prayer group and gets educated on the repercussions of being a cheater.
Make sure I got this straight. The cheater has to eat massive, big old piles of shit for however long until the hurt person decides they're forgiven.
Keith stops by the church and gives Kelvin a chair he made, but instantly gets jealous because Taryn's replaced him. Jesse pitches Baby Billy's idea of turning Amy Lee into a holograph, so she can sing for the church and help with the congregation's dropping numbers. Eli starts to cry, and Judy and Kelvin tell Jesse they quit as church leaders. Eli tells Baby Billy to turn it off, but he has trouble. Judy starts kicking it, and it starts to glitch.
Plug it back in. It's a loader!
Steven sends Judy a DM to come over, and BJ pretends to be Judy and goes to Steven's house to kick his ass. Steven is butt naked jerking off when BJ walks in on him. Steven gains the upper hand and puts on BJ's brass knuckles, beating him unconscious. Steven hoses BJ down until he wakes up. While Steven stands over BJ gloating with his cock flapping in the wind, BJ grabs Steven's nuts and twists. He then straddles Steven and beats him bloody. Judy goes to give BJ medicine for his face and gets kidnapped by Peter's militia in the Redeemer. Kelvin gets taken while looking for Keith at his carpentry job, and Chuck catches Jesse off guard in the church's parking garage.
$5 million ahead. You want to see all three? That's 15 mil.
Eli decides not to give Peter the money because May thinks he's bluffing. May sneaks off and Gideon follows her. May and Carl bust the hostages out of the silo. Gideon takes back the Redeemer and uses it to help them escape. The Gemstone siblings forgive Carl after redeeming himself, but basically disown Eli because he refused to pay their ransom. Kelvin and Judy decide to come back to their jobs at the church after Jesse asks nicely. There's a mutiny amongst Peter's men, and they take the funds and kick him and Chuck out of the militia. Peter calls the authorities on his former militia, and the feds raid them. When the Gemstones return to Sunday service, Kelvin kisses Keith right before they go on stage. Chuck makes sure there's no people around, and blows up his dad's truck full of explosives. Peter thinks Chuck died in the blast, and blames himself. When Keith walks into the gas station to buy some snacks, Peter steals the church's Smutbusters van. It turns out Chuck saved the Gemstones by blowing up the truck. Chuck and Carl join their team in Baby Billy's Bible Bonkers against the Simpkins in a contest for Dusty Daniels' inheritance. The Simpkins are much better at Bible Bonkers than the Gemstones, but a swarm of locusts make their way into the television studio. Vance Simpkins doesn't stop to help Dusty during the chaos, so Dusty gives the inheritance to the Gemstones. When a locust hits the detonator's dead man switch, Peter drives the van full of explosives away from the church and manages to make it out alive. Jesse sends his son Pontius to a military school, and Gideon asks Eli to teach him to be a preacher.